Hi folks, in today's video we're going to be converting my small MIG Clarke Weld 135 TE Turbl Mig Welder with gas bottles from this size gas bottles, which is the standard ones that comes with these, to one of these. See you in a minute. Right, well, as you probably know folks, with this welder of mine, it's not had much use. I don't do a lot of welding. I'm not a welder, I've said that before. But every time I use it, I'm eating through these gas bottles. If you probably see in my last video, I found a leak on this welder on the plastic tube that goes from the gas bottle down the handle into the actual gun mechanism, which was in here just above the spool. That's where the leak was. And the option I was going to do was to repair the leak, which would have meant replacing the whole cable through the handle mechanism. This is the actual stuff that come out originally. As you can probably see, it's very, very small bore stuff. And this is the stuff that comes from the small little regulator that you see there, that sits on the bottle, and that in turn sits at the back of the welder. And this is what powers the welder with the MIG gas. Well, I didn't know whether or not I was eating bottles. I've heard people say that these bottles can last for ages, and then I've had people say that it burns through these pretty quick. My experience of this is that it burns through pretty quick. Now again, not being a welder, I didn't know the sort of quantities to use. I found out a lot of information since I started investigating these bottle usage, for example. For example, these bottles here are supposed to contain about 110 litres of MIG welding gas, and how it works is basically that for the sort of stuff that I do, it's basically car panel metal work, which is probably around 20 gauge, which is probably about 1 millimetre thick sort of thing. So it's very small, and you're not using loads and loads of gas as if you was welding sort of 1/2 inch plate or 1/4 inch plate or whatever, and running long welds or whatever. And the way it works out is that for the sort of work that I'm doing, car bodywork panel repair stuff, you probably only need about 3 litres per minute of gas to shroud the actual weld, the actual MIG weld itself, to stop it from getting contaminated. And again, just having this little regulator, as I've just shown you, you've got no way of knowing how much gas you was putting out. Now, unbeknown to me, when I was opening this up, I was just sort of opening this valve up fully and then using the MIG welder as you would do, basically, by just pulling the trigger. The gas comes out and protects the arc or the weld or whatever. And unbeknown to me, when you've got one of these valves fully open, you're probably putting out about 15 litres per minute of actual gas. So that is way, way too much. It was a total waste of gas, and this is something I never knew. And when you work out 15 litres per minute, if you've got a 110 litre bottle, it's not going to take you many minutes, probably about 10 minutes, to empty the old bottle out, hence it being used very quickly. All you basically need, as I said to you, is 3 metres of gas. You can get a little flow meter, which I can't show you here fully, but you can buy a little flow meter that you can just, it's like a little tube, a funnel affair with a little rubber bung in it, which you stick on that, press your trigger, and like you see in the oxygen bottles that you see in hospitals, for example, where you've got a glass tube and a little ball inside, and when you apply the gas, the little ball hovers up and in sort of floating in midair sort of thing, and that's measured in, you can measure that, adjust the regulator till you get that coming out 3 litres per minute. With these small valves, you haven't got that facility on there, but so what I've had to do is to go out and buy the large bottle which I showed you earlier on, which is this is Hobbyweld gas. Now the beauty of this is obviously it's a vastly bigger bottle, and with that also comes the standard type gauges, which I've had to go out and buy as well. These are Argon Co2 gauges, by the way. You tell them what gas you want and they supply the appropriate gauges for you. And this comes with a flow meter on it as well, so as you open up, you're supposed to be able to sort of press the trigger and then read the flow meter onto there. What I can see here basically is that these basically are measured in 10 litres per minute, and the first big one, these are measured in 10 litres per minute and goes up. The first big one is 50, 100, 150. But I may not be able to get these down to 3 litres per minute. I'm not too sure yet. Failing that, I'll have to get one of those little ones that you stick on the end, as I showed you about. But the idea of having this is obviously so that you've got vastly more gas and more reliability with the proper gauges and the proper hoses. And what you also need, because we're converting from this little tube, I've had to go out and get an adapter, which, as you can probably see there, comes with an adapter on this end, which will take that smaller tube. So this will go onto your actual gauges there. This is the connector that goes onto the gas bottle, and this then obviously will go onto our existing pipe which runs in the handle. Now on this one, for example, as you probably know, let me show you, my leak was right up there basically, and if you look here, this is the actual cable, which there was a joint there obviously, so I don't want to leave that joint there, so I'm basically going to cut this off here so the joint will still be in there. And I then need to, as you probably know, get this to come around the back of the unit and actually enter into the back, so I can actually put that in there like that. So I'm going to have to drill a hole there, so I'm going to drill a 20mm hole there, then I can feed that tube in. And what I've actually gone out and brought as well is one of these MIG trolleys here, which is your basic £28 job off of eBay, not a lot of money at all. The welder will sit on the top and the gas bottle obviously sits in the chains behind it. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to now drill the back of this, we'll put the hose on, we'll get this put on top of the machine and connect the gas bottle up. So that's what I'm going to do now. Right, well, it's quite clear to see that my welder is actually too big for the trolley. The handle's in the way. So what I'm going to do is just have to adapt it. I'm going to have to take this handle off. It's only 2 bolts, so 2 bolts either side. So I'm going to take this off, just undo the handle, and then we'll try and put it on again. It's just one of those things. These are just universal trolleys at the end of the day, and it was only £28. So yeah, as I say, a lot of you people knew about this Hobbyweld gas. Apparently they do it in a few different types. I've got a Hobbyweld 15, which is like 15% Argon CO2 mix. Hobbyweld 5 is another popular one as well. Now that's why it's handy to have people leave comments, because you know it's a sort of thing where I knew of this gas, but I was sort of not knowing where to get the bottles, what type of regulators and stuff like that, which is why I've prompted myself to do this video, to sort of help other people who wanted to sort of do the same and upgrade their welder. Because as I say, if you're doing anything, I know I did the transit van, but I went through I think about 3 bottles doing the transit van, which wasn't really too bad when you think about it, but they're £15 a bottle. But I know I had a leak, as you probably well know, and that was my main problem, was having the actual leak. So, but again, all I'd done, I googled Hobbyweld gas, and there was a seller 13 miles away from my house, which is pretty near, to be honest with you. It's only sort of a 15-minute drive. And one of the biggest things is that the initial bottle, this initial bottle cost me, you have to pay, and it's £60 up front, it's a one-off cost, and then £30 to fill the bottle. So you're looking at £90 for the actual bottle in question. You keep your receipt, because the receipt is your return for your gas bottle return at the end of the day. You don't rent this bottle or anything, you've just bought this and you're holding on to it. If in 2, 3, 5 years time that you want to claim your money back or send this back, you take that back, go back with the original receipt, and they will give you your £60 back. So that's how that works. So every time you renew the bottle, it is basically going to be £30, which is basically the price of 2 of them little bottles. So it's way cheaper to do it this way. because that's going to last me a hell of a long time, that, so I'm going to be well pleased with that. Right, okay then, so there we go there. I'm happy with that. Just lift that one up a little bit more. There we go. Right, bottle's in there now. So what I'm going to do now is to basically get my gauges and connect my gauges up. As you can see, make sure that your joints are all clean. They've got all these protective caps on these, obviously, from new. The gauges cost about £40, these ones. You can probably get them cheaper on eBay, but I went with the manufacturers who supplied me with the gas. And get this plug out of here. There we go. Again, always make sure that your area inside there is clean. Otherwise you're going to be back to square one, leaking gas again. There we go. Not too tight, these are only little brass fittings. I'm going to whack this through the hole for the moment. I will get a grommet to put in there, 20mm grommet, which I don't happen to have here available at the moment, but open that side door up and this valve then should just plonk nicely. Again, this is like the same size hose and it should be a push fit in. Then that, as you can see, grips onto it. If I want to release it, you just push that red thing in and pull it back basically. So let's just clip this in and I'll show you in a second. Let's get it up out of the way. I can barely see it myself. I've got all these lights in here and I'm working in the dark. Unbelievable. Let's have a look, yeah, hold on. Right, there you go. You can probably see what I've done there. I've got one cable tie around the actual new hose going in, and there's another one there, and that connects us now up. I will whack some soapy water around that joint just to make sure that we're sealing properly. Right, so technically speaking, that's the plumbing done. So I should be able to turn this gas bottle on. There you go. I've just opened that valve there, look. And they say never stand in front of a valve when you open it. And that's over £2,000 worth of pressure there. And this is obviously the gas regulator valve. Right, so if I pick up the handle. Okay, yeah, so I've opened the valve. I've literally barely opened it there. There's way too much gas there, so let's just turn it right down. I've barely cracked that valve. Can you hear it? That's right off. Yep. So realistically, these gauges don't register down enough for you to actually record the actual 3 litres per minute. Look, as you can see, look, I'm holding that there, look. You can probably hear that. And even that's probably too much, but the gauge is right down near enough on its stop there. So what I will get is one of those smaller ones. Well, you can just go by sound really, and that's barely opening. So anyway, I'm well pleased with that now, and that works a treat. As I say, just get me soapy water here and just go over my joints there, just to see if I've got any leaks at all. I've got to remember I didn't do this one up fully, did I, this one? And even so, it's still sealing perfectly, look. That one there. And I'll just check the inside one and all. No, everything's solid, absolutely perfect. No leaks there whatsoever. So now, you can say that I've fully converted my nasty little 110 litre bottles of MIG welding gas to a Hobbyweld style gas with full size regulators, and that is going to serve me so much better than what I already had. So that's it anyway. Hope you got something from this video on how to convert your standard MIG welder to a Hobbyweld gas setup like I've got here. It didn't take too long really. All I basically had to do is to remove the wheels, cut an extra hole in to get the bigger lead in, snip the pipe and connect up the new fixing kit for these Mini Mig Welders. Okay then, anyway, see you again in the next video, and until then, bye for now.